10. My name is Hagen. That's Brett here today. We're brought to you guys by Chinook's Eatery. Use code SkippersU for 10% discount when you head over there. And also, too, go check out his analytic website. He has a now about it. Now he's doing a lot of cool football reference type. He has his own versions of that, own kind of player pages, almost like a baseball savant type thing, just his own version of it. You can edit the stats on there. It's a pretty cool thing. So you definitely go check that out. But let's just dig into this right away here. Obviously, Cal Raleigh, we talked about a lot last episode, but he's the head right here again, too, and into an MVP conversation here. So Cal Raleigh, he's got 4 more shy, is setting the record for the most by a switch hitter ever, which was set by Mickey Mantle in 1961. 6 shy of the Seattle's franchise record from Ken Griffey back in 1997 and 1998. And he's the first player in Major League history to homer at least 20 times from both sides of the plate for a switch hitter. And he also did that by hitting his 50th home run of the season. It's genuinely incredible what we talked about. I mean, last episode we talked about how it really felt like it was the first shift in momentum for this MVP race, about how it really has a real shot now, or it felt like you could say favorite over Judge at this point. Actually, when their WAR is the exact same now. It was Judge slowing down a little bit as well. So it's incredible what Cal Raleigh is doing here. And I get Aaron Judge has been generational hitter-wise. He's still been putting up one of the best hitter seasons we've seen in a long time here. But Cal Raleigh is going to end at the end of the season. He could go down as one of the best catcher seasons that we've ever seen.
I think it's going to go down as the best catcher season we've ever seen, honestly. So I said on the last episode, and I've been saying it for a month now, Judge was winning his MVPs because he's just putting up absurd home run numbers. Now you got a guy putting up absurd home run numbers for his position while playing amazing defense at arguably and by arguably, I mean, it is. Catchers are definitely a more physically demanding position than playing right field when Judge is healthy. He's not even playing the field right now. They got Stan playing out there, which is a whole other embarrassment to the Yanks. But, Judge 2022 and last year, he did historic things to win MVP. And do I believe that without Aaron Judge all season, the Yankees, they're a much worse baseball team? Absolutely. But where are the Mariners without Cal Raleigh? Let's be real. The pitching staff, it is what it is. It's been really, really good. But you've had guys come off the, on and on the IL. Bryce Miller's had several stints this year. You've had, not Kirby. Gilbert was on the IL for a little bit this year. Brian Woo's been pretty consistent, but Julio just started playing baseball really at the All-Star break where he got really, really hot. Cal Raleigh's has been carrying this offense for the Mariners all year, and he's going to shatter the all-time home run record for catchers for a single season. I think it's his MVP to lose at this point.
And the sports books will agree with you on there too. I mean, even an hour ago, I was checking, and they were both at -110 over here on FanDuel. But I'm checking here again now, and Cal Raleigh's -125. Aaron Judge is 110. So this might be the first time all year that I've seen that Cal Raleigh has the better odds than Aaron Judge in MVP, which is crazy to think about because obviously it was Judge you trusted the year when even throughout games of the season you trusted Aaron Judge to keep doing what he was doing through a whole 162. Maybe not the ridiculous 150% better than league average hitter pace, but you expected Judge to be a top 2 player in baseball. Cal Raleigh, I think you were a little more bullish on him just because he's never really done this before over a full 162, and he's playing catcher too. Catchers historically are going to get tired towards the ends of the years too. So it was interesting, and it just keep doing this really well. I mean, Cal Raleigh's putting up an insane season, and it comes down to the debate. Do you reward arguably the best catcher season of all time when it's all said and done, or do you reward arguably the best hitting season that we have seen since Barry Bonds retired?
Anytime you say the name Barry Bonds, you got to take notice. You got to pay attention if anyone's doing anything close to Barry Bonds, especially because his numbers are so absurd. And we all know that, we don't have to get into the whole PED, scandal and what have you with his involvement in PEDs, Barry Bonds. But everyone knows Barry Bonds' numbers are legit. So if you're doing anything resembling Barry Bonds at this day and age where PEDs, you don't really see them nearly as often as what you saw 20, 30 years ago in this league. It's a lot more policed nowadays. So just a huge, huge season. Let's talk about the MVP race. in the American League. So the only other guys in the American League outside of Judge and Raleigh, you got Bobby Witt Jr., Jose Ramirez, and Tarek Skubal. Do you think and all three of these guys are having fantastic years? Hagen, in your mind, is there anyone else that can even challenge Raleigh or Judge at this point between Witt, Skubal, and J-Ram?
No shot in my mind. I mean, Bobby Witt would be the one there. I was talking about a little bit last episode or a couple episodes ago. Obviously, he's pretty up there, close to them with WAR, but I mean, Bobby Witt just plays phenomenal shortstop. But I can't really put a dude who's only a 30% above league average hitter, saying he's going to take a Cal Raleigh Aaron Judge. I think it's been a pretty big two-headed horse race for the last or so 2 months or now. So I think it's Raleigh Judge, but I'm very interested to see who takes the third, fourth, and fifth spots. To see does Skubal or a Crochet even like Crochet is going to be up here too. I know we talked about it a little bit with Dean in the group chat, but you just see how close they really are, because then it's getting. We talked about all year about how Skubal's been the best pitcher alive, but then you start to look at the numbers and you say, well, Crochet really could win the Cy Young still. I believe the odds are reflecting that too, that it's pretty 50-50 right now. So I'm interested to see, because there could be a shot where you have two pitchers in the top 6 or 7 in MVP voting this year, and that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, J-Ram right now, he's got 26 bombs. He's batting .290. He's got 36 stolen bases. J-Ram could arguably – he's going to have a 30-40 season for sure while batting close to 300. He's kind of one of the main – he's not one of the main cogs. He is the main cog in Cleveland, and he has been for some time. I think J-Ram, it stinks that he's got a 4.7 WAR on the year. He's having a fantastic year. Skubal, as you mentioned, he's at 5.8 WAR compared to Crochet's 5.2. But Skubal's got a 2.28 ERA compared to Crochet's 2.38. I just think that strikeouts, he's got him too. Whip, he's better than him. Like, if anything, like Tarek Skubal would be like the only guy I think outside of Judge and Raleigh that could maybe sneak in there. Because if you really look at it, like the guy's 11-4. He's got almost a 6 WAR in the year. He's not done yet. He could arguably, probably not get to 275 strikeouts on the year. I think 300 is a little bit out of his range at this point. But Detroit, where are they without Tarek Skubal? Where are they? They were dominant to start the first half. I think people got to take that into consideration. But with what Raleigh's doing, I think it'd be detrimental to the game of baseball if we voted for Skubal to get the MVP over Cal Raleigh at this point.
I mean, I think Cal Raleigh could limp to the finish line here the last 30 games, and I still think he's finishing above anybody else. He's going to take second at least.
I agree. The American League, though, it's way more interesting. Let's talk about the NL for a second. So it's no secret. There's a little guy playing in Los Angeles. He goes by the name of Shohei Ohtani. You might have heard of him. He's probably the walk-on front. He's not probably. He is the front runner for MVP. So right now, the other people who are behind him, Schwarber, PCA, Trey Turner, Paul Skeens. Out of these 4, I think there's one guy that we could almost look at for MVP nods, but his team stinks. So you could take from that as a May, who I'm talking about with Paul Skeens here. Do you think anyone could challenge in the National League?
I really don't think so. I want to say yes, unless there's a voter fatigue here. I just don't really see how you get voter fatigue here from Shohei. And it's kind of a boring thing because there's not really a huge race here because, I mean, even the MVP polls they put out today on MLB.com, they had Schwarber at 2, which is kind of funny because last year Shohei was the first DH to ever win the MVP award, and now it's looking like we could have the 1 and 2 in the MVP of the National League this year be both DHs. So that was funny. So I think Schwarber's up there. PCA, I think, was someone that really could have pushed him, but obviously he's just been dreadful in the second half. It's just the defense has still been great. He's still been the 4th best player in terms of WAR in the National League. Trey Turner's been very sneakily one of the best players in all of baseball this year. I think he's going to finish in the top 5 if he keeps this up. But someone sneaky that I don't think he's going to push Shohei here, but Geraldo Perdomo has been fantastic this year. I mean, he's got a 136 WRC plus. He's the third best player in the National League in WAR. He's been phenomenal. He's only striking out 10.8% of the time, walking 14% of the time, hitting 290 with a slash of 290, 393, 449. He's been fantastic this year for the Diamondbacks, which is kind of crazy because you feel like when you think of the Diamondbacks, you think of Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll, but Perdomo could be higher than both of those guys in the MVP ballots here.
Yeah, I'm not going to name who. And like we say dumb stuff all the time, so I get it if people want to shove it in our faces. But someone said today that like, oh, this year's been one of the podcasts I listened to was saying that this was a breakout year for Perdomo. I was like, he was an all-star in 2023. Like, how can you call that a breakout? I very confused about that. I didn't like that, especially because Perdomo, like last year, wasn't an all-star. He batted 273 on the year. And like, you know, I get he did not have all the games last year. He played sub 100 games. He still put up 3.5 WAR in 100 games. I think he would just be as good as this year. And like, that means he could be a 3-time all-star rather than a 2-time at the end of this year. So, actually not 2-time. He didn't get all-stars. So in 2023, by the way, it was funny because he kind of collapsed in the second half. He was an all-star then. Last year, he had a great year besides the injury. And then this year was not an all-star, even though he's having a fantastic year overall. This is why when I ranted about all-star voting people of why I said take it seriously. This is exactly why and why I want to change it up. And again, I'm not going to complain about it because I told you until I have a foolproof system of what we got to do about the All-Star game with a plan for All-Star weekend, because you and I both complained about it. I'm sure a lot of people, it's awesome, but it's dreadful at the same time just because there's so much going on and you want to like all-star game. I don't even like, the celebrity softball game. I that's awesome. The MLB draft is that weekend as well. And then the home run derby, there's a lot of things going on. And I don't know what it is yet. Maybe at the end of the regular season, we do it. I think that'd be better, but we'll talk about that in a different episode.
And I'm not trying to make this an all-star game discussion, obviously being a month or two past it, but it's even funny too, because like I was just browsing Clayton Kershaw's baseball reference page the other day and listed him as an all-star this year, where we all know it was just the commissioner's pick. They put him on there, but he gets the all-star pick on the baseball reference page, which I guess Clayton Kershaw, he's one of the best players of all time, but that still rubbed me the wrong way.
By the way, I know we were just talking about Ohtani. If he does win the MVP, which it very much looks like it's going to be him, that'll be his 4th MVP in 8 years. He'll be he's a 5-time All-Star, 1 Rookie of the Year. He's going to have 4 MVPs. He's got a World Series title now, and they might win a second one. Ohtani, when it's said and done, people, he might not have the climbing stat records because he came over later from Japan than others. His accolades are going to be stupid. How many MVPs and all-stars and first-team all-MLBs that he's going to rack up. God, it's a great time to be a baseball fan. It's a great time.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because if you just look too, like you talk about the MVPs, it would be his 4th MVP. He's tied right now for second most MVPs ever with 3, with a few guys there. I know Trout's in that boat. I think there's about 5 or 6 guys that are in that boat that have 3 MVPs. Number 1 is Bonds with 6 or 7, I believe. So he's going to be standing alone, the second most MVPs in MLB history already in 7 years in the big leagues, 6 years in the big leagues. I was telling my buddies last night, we were watching the Dodgers game, and I told them, I'm like, Shohei Ohtani is going to go down as the GOAT of baseball. That's how good he is, especially if he continues to pitch.
Dude, Bonds is 7. Shohei's tied at second with 3 with Trout, Pujols, A-Rod, Mike Schmidt, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, Stan Musial, DiMaggio, Jimmy Fox, and that's it. Like, every one of those guys is Hall of Fame or steroids. Like, it's literally Hall of Fame or steroids. Like, Shohei's only been in the league 8 years. This is the greatest prime we've ever seen, probably. Like, it's kind of unreal. Let's talk about, the Yankees, they were winning last I checked before we hopped on. They almost blew a lead. They were up 10-0, and then they gave up 5 runs yesterday. I don't know if you saw that in like the 8th and 9th inning. The one bright spot coming out of the weekend was that Cam Schlittler looks like a future ace. And when I say that, I don't mean he's to be the best pitcher in the league. I just mean like he looks like a dog. The Yankees have done a pretty good job of developing pitchers over the last, 5-10 years. Don't at me with that. We can talk about pitching that the Yankees have produced. Like, let's not forget guys they've shipped off who have done well after they were done with them. Look at half of Boston's, like, I feel bullpen is actually Yankee guys. But let's look at Cam Schlittler. 8 games started this year, Hagen. 2 wins. He has a 2.76 ERA through 8 starts. 42 and a third innings. He's got 46 strikeouts. He does have a 1.3 whip with 2 quality starts there, and he's just starting to build up where he's like able to get to 6 innings comfortably. Do you think the Yankees struck gold with this one?
I mean, if he keeps pitching like this, then yeah. Obviously, we see a lot with these rookies where they'll come up and they can kind of hit the ground running very well and go on some good stretches here, especially the starters. But like a Cade Horton was a good example of that, where he kind of started off a little bit hot, but then he cooled down a little bit, but then he got hot again. So I think it's someone where you have to take into account the rest of the season and almost see how is he looking year 2. But if he's doing this, I mean, this is huge for the Yankees, where obviously it's missed Garrett Cole his entire year. I mean, they're still in the spot they are. I know they've struggled a little bit lately, but they're missing Garrett Cole, who was arguably the best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball in the world. You went down Tommy John. You've had Max Fried, who has not been good at all the last little bit here. So it's really nice to have him step up in that rotation, especially when Carlos Rodon's been really, really good this year too. Will Warren's been all right. Like it's really helpful to have him step up in this rotation, especially too when the team was struggling and they really needed someone to kind of step up every 5th day and say, "Give me the ball, let's win today."
Yeah, I know he's not a household name yet, but wanted to point him out because it's not just like 1 game sample size. This is now 8 games. He's getting his starts in. I don't know what his odds are for AL Rookie of the Year. He's not going to win it because we're going to talk about a guy in a little bit named Nick Kurtz who probably should win it. But Schlittler's been incredible. And you know what? Actually, let's just talk about Kurtz now. We named the episode after him. I want to spend some time on him. Right now, if you don't know who Nick Kurtz is, he's a first baseman for the Athletics. Is he out of Vanderbilt or is he a Wake Forest guy? Do you know?
Wake Forest.
Okay. So out of Wake Forest, he's been crushing the ball ever since he was a first-round pick. This season, Hagen, 4.5 WAR, 308 batting average, 66 runs scored with 70 RBIs. He's got a 398 OBP and 640 slug. A 640 slug is a rookie, and he's got 27 bombs on the year. So Just Baseball put out this stat on a tweet on X, and I thought this was super impressive. And take note. So every rookie hitter since the integration with an OPS of at least a 1.0 and 25 plus home runs. So the rookies who've done this, Jordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, Nick Kurtz, Albert Pujols, Ryan Braun. It's a pretty elite company. Do you think Kurtz is a first-round pick next year in fantasy drafts?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask in terms of fantasy baseball. Obviously, my team has been in 10th place this entire season until a 12-0 sweep this last week. So I'm not the one to ask on that, but I can tell you that Nick Kurtz is here to stay. I mean, obviously, he only had 380 plate appearances this year. But if you just want to take it to minimum 350 plate appearances, because he doesn't qualify for the league leaders among the average, those type of stats, the cumulative stats, not the cumulative stats, but if you go down and let's set the plate appearances to a minimum 350, he's the second best hitter in all of baseball behind only Aaron Judge. And he's 9% better than Shohei Ohtani's been this year. He's better than Cal Raleigh, better than Cal Schwarber. Only Aaron Judge has been a better hitter of him since he's came into the big leagues, which is absolutely absurd from a rookie, especially on the A's too. I know we've talked about it a lot about how this team can bang. This team has a phenomenal offense. They're building a lot of good pieces here for when they're going to Vegas. They have a very good offense to build around. We thought it was Brent Rooker's team. It's looking like this is Nick Kurtz's team now going forward.
Dude, what about Jacob Wilson? He's a rookie too. The Athletics have pieces, and that's not including – they just traded away. I get that people are upset about Mason Miller. Guess what? You need bullpen. I get it. You need bullpen. So in general, you really need bullpen for the playoffs. And guess where the Athletics are not playing this year or next year? The playoffs. This move Mason Miller for Leo DeVries, one of the top 5 prospects in all of baseball, and he hasn't stopped hitting DeVries since getting moved over and either. So if the Athletics nailed this pick, and if it's DeVries, actually, it might be Leo DeVries. I don't know how he pronounces it, but he could play third probably, if not second base in a tandem with Jacob Wilson up the middle and Kurtz at first. The Athletics look scary in a few years from now, especially if they get the pitching right. They just drafted Jamie Arnold out of Florida State. He's supposed to be a really talented arm. So if they get the arms right, they have some other guys too. I saw them in a top 10 like prospect arms rankings in terms of like pitching staffs available in the minor leagues right now. The Athletics, they're doing a lot of the right things, even though it doesn't seem like that way on the surface. Hopefully they don't lose guys to free agency and just start paying people, especially with the move to Vegas. You'd think spending money on all this, you'd finally spend money on the actual roster itself. But Nick Kurtz, one last thing. By the way, actually 2 last things. I lied. He's played 91 games this year. We only got 30 games left, if that. He's going to play a max 120 some odd games. He's already, like I mentioned, in 120 some odd games, he's got 27 bombs. Imagine he played a full season. This is like 40, 45 bombs territory we're talking about. He's batting .395 with a 245 WRC plus in the 33 games since the All-Star break. The guy is on a mission right now, and it's to destroy baseballs. It's absurd. I think he's a first-round pick next year. Even without the speed, I think he's a first-round pick or close to it.
I mean, it's just crazy you said that because he only played 91 games, and it seemed like he's already had this Rookie of the Year like locked away. This award has been his for about a month now. So it took him about 70 games or so to be like, all right, yeah, this guy was the shirt-out Rookie of the Year. That's how good he's been this year. And even, too, in this A's conversation, these guys we talked about, we didn't even bring out Lawrence Butler. I get us kind of had a down year, but he broke out last year. He's a great player. And Shea Langeliers has been one of the best catchers in all of baseball this year, one of the best players in the second half in all of baseball. Those are 2 guys we didn't even mention. They have a very good core they're building around right here. They just need to get some pitching on that team.
Shea Langeliers. Don't disrespect him. Another guy who bangs, and I've been a big fan of this guy for a while now. I do really like Bobby Witt Jr., and I hope him all the success in the world. He can't do it alone. But thank goodness the Royals have this fella named Vinny Pasquantino who can bang. So Pasquantino's finally feeling it. His last 2 weeks, 8 bombs, 21 ribbies. He's batting .320 with a 1.232 OPS on the season. 28 homers, 92 ribbies, batting .262 with an 800 OPS. So Vinny Pasquatch is definitely the Robin to Bobby Witt's Batman. But Pasquantino, last 2 weeks, I think that we have to give him his praise. Like, he is mashing right now for Kansas City as they're trying desperately to make the playoffs. They're right now second now in the AL Central. They surpassed Cleveland. They're 10.5 games back for the division. But if you look at the wild card right now, the Royals, with Seth Lugo playing bad, the Royals are the 4th team out. They're only 4 games back on Seattle. It's not impossible for them to make the playoffs. So I wanted to pull this out, give kudos to Pasquantino. Are you a Pasquatch guy? I'm assuming you are. Who's not?
I'm a big Pasquatch guy. He is one of the best Twitter follows of all time. He's up there. I love when seeing him go out there, have conversations with people out there, whether it was with Tango in the offseason about where he was standing in the box, or if he's just talking to random dudes, just that's on what he was seeing in the plate there. So it's great there. And it's awesome to see him healthy right now, too. I think it's a big thing because they're baseball players. You can't just go out there. You got to get in a groove a little bit and get your feet underneath yourself a little bit. So it's nice to see him kind of stay healthy for once. He's obviously dealt a few injuries this year, but it's good to see him stay healthy right now and go on this tear. Obviously, he just had 5 games in a row with a home run, I believe, set the franchise record over there for the Royals. And if you just look even at his splits this year, he started off in the March and April. He was awful, to say the least. Since then, he's been a very good hitter with WRC pluses of 108 or higher. And 108 was the lowest of those all. The second lowest was a 125. So he's been phenomenal this year when he's on the field.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And like injuries last year was his problem too. And the year before that, I feel like I hate to say that. I don't think he's injury prone. But I feel like he's been dealing with several different injuries going on the last couple seasons. Let's jump to MLB news and injuries that have happened this week since our last episode. So let's start off with Texas. Marcus Semien hasn't had a great year. His season's now over. He'll be out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured third metatarsal and a sprained Liz Frank ligament in his left foot. Does not sound fun. I don't know how that's going to bode for Texas. And by that, I mean, they're in 5th place right now in the wild card hunt. They're just behind Kansas City. So obviously they want Marcus Semien there. This could be a fatal blow to Texas. We'll see. But Marcus Semien, like I said, hasn't had the greatest of years. So maybe they don't get too impacted by it and someone else can get in a groove for them in the middle up there in the infield. Let's talk about the Athletics one more time because Jacob Lopez, he's a rookie. He's had a solid year. He's heading for the 15-day IL with a left forearm tightness, which we don't like because that means something in the elbow is probably going to give, which really sucks to see for the Athletics. Atlanta. So good news for, I guess, bad news for you, Hagen, as a Mets fan. Atlanta's getting Chris Sale back on Saturday. He's been on the 60-day IL with a fractured rib cage. Do I guess at this point with Atlanta's season, like, are you shocked that they're bringing Chris Sale back? Is that a dumb question?
I honestly didn't think I would see him again. I never really read too big into how long he was going to be out for when they first said that, but I didn't think he would come back at all. But I think it is good, obviously, kind of let him finish the season off, get 3 or 4 starts underneath his belt, and then go into the offseason feeling well instead of having to, if you're healthy and just, we're going to keep on the side throwing bullpen sessions, whatever it is. I think it means a lot for these guys when obviously this Brave season's gone. They're not playing for anything right now. So just kind of go out there and pitch. Go if you want to work on some things, whether it's going to the off season, if there was a certain thing you were working on going into the off season, if you're working on a new pitch or something like that, where it's you kind of use these games in that way too. And obviously too, it's like the Braves are in the point too where you're playing spoiler. I mean, this offense has been very, very good for the Braves recently too, and they've kind of playing that spoiler role, which is it's a fun place to be in. And not as a fan, but when you know you're kind of out of it and you can go spoil some team seasons, it makes a fun spot for them there. So I think it's good to get him back out there and get a few starts underneath his belt before season ends.
Atlanta, they just also released Eric Fetty, who was acquired about a month ago in a trade with St. Louis. This was after being designated from assignment from St. Louis. So I think Eric Fetty, he might be, the beginning of the end here in his time with the MLB. We'll see how he pans out for next year. Aaron Bummer for Atlanta, a lot of Atlanta news. Aaron Bummer went on the 15-day IL with inflammation in his throwing shoulder. That's no bueno. I'm going to talk about you, Reed Garrett enthusiast. What's going on with the Mets reliever here?
Reed Garrett, obviously, he's been on the 15-day IL with inflammation in his throwing shoulder, which this one obviously hits dear to me, being Reed Garrett enthusiast. I kind of saw this one coming, talking with a few people about this one for a little bit now, about how he's just been – the first half of baseball, he was arguably a top 3 reliever in all of baseball. In the second half, he has not been. Since June, he has a 6.41 ERA, and he's a .1 WAR player as a reliever there. So kind of saw this one coming. It does suck, though. I do enjoy a Reed Garrett inning whenever I see. If I'm not watching the game and I see he's in the game, I'm turning that on. So it does suck. I don't think it's anything too serious. I'm not reading into it like crazy there. I think he's done a lot of innings with this team back-to-back years now, a lot of important innings, and I think he's just kind of gotten overworked.
Yeah, I hate to see it. I was actually thinking about picking him up in one of my fantasy leagues. So MLB threw us a bunch of news this week, and we got a few things to talk about before we close out here. We got about 30. We're at the 30-minute mark almost, and Hagen and I are striving to be, in that 30 to 45-minute range. So we're right on schedule. So this week we had an interesting thing. So a Tennessee man nicknamed Babe Ruth, and notice my quotation, hands going up here if you're just listening. He was charged with fraud. So I guess what's going on is the guy was sharing the same name as New York Yankees legend Babe Ruth. He also reportedly used the names of other former professional baseball players to make fraudulent claims for payouts in class action settlements. This is according to the Associated Press. He was, a 69-year-old man from Tennessee named George Herman Ruth. He was charged with 91 counts in an indictment handed down by the U.S. District Court. This happened back on August 12th. So he was charged with mail fraud, aggravated identity theft, fraudulent use of social security numbers, you name it. Bad dude. He opened more than a dozen P.O. boxes in several cities and put in hundreds of false claim forms to several different class action administrators. So he was doing this using the names of old baseball people. This has nothing to do with the MLB, but it's just like, it's just like, why would you try and hurt? If you're an MLB fan, why would you try and hurt baseball by doing this? Like, pick a different sport if you're going to do it. But just like, did you see anything about the story? I thought it was pretty interesting.
I honestly didn't hear anything about it until you sent the article the other day, and I thought it was pretty funny too. I mean, just the title too. It made you it definitely grabs your attention. I think it's pretty crazy too, seeing 91 counts of indictment there. But you can't hate on the creativity. I'm not saying I'm not defending the guy here, but you can't hate on that.
Yeah, that's really the moral story. The creativity behind this crime spree that this guy went on is kind of legendary, but at the same time, bad guy taking money from probably, operations that need it and, just following class action lawsuits and then stealing people's identities here. Bad dude, definitely going to do some jail time. Let's talk about the MLB schedule. It was released today. The big news was the Phillies and Twins were confirmed for the Field of Dreams game. It'll be back. I think we have to get to Iowa at some point. It has to happen. Where are you at with traveling to Iowa? Would you ever drive from Utah out to Iowa for a baseball game? Excuse me.
I would 100% make the drive out to Iowa to watch the Field of Dreams game. I mean, it's kind of like MLB has done all these games. Obviously, they had the NASCAR one this year. They had the London one last year. The Field of Dreams one, I think any baseball fan will agree with you that was the best. That Sox Yankees, that first one, is one of the most iconic games in the last 20 years in baseball history. If you want to say all time, you could probably put it up there too. I mean, but at least in recent memory, it's one of the most iconic games there. So it is really cool seeing them bring that back. And I think another cool one too that I think they should do every single year, and I was talking to my dad about this a while back, was the Mets and the Yankees. They're playing on September 11th this year for the 25th anniversary of 9/11 incidents. So I think that's something that should be played every single year. The Mets and the Yankees, just the New York teams, I think they should be playing on September 11th every single year, and I don't know why they don't, honestly. I talked to a lot of people about this. I feel like it should be the 4th of July and September 11th. It should be when the Mets and the Yankees play their series every year, because obviously it means a lot to that city, a city that obviously two teams that they mean a lot to that city there. And there's a lot of bad blood between the two teams, but it kind of unites baseball as a whole and the country as a whole too, which I think is a really cool thing they're doing.
100% agree. And it's also the best city in America, so it should get first priority of games scheduled. But no bias from me there being a New Yorker. By the way, I just realized it's an 18-hour ride for you, so maybe just fly to Indy and I'll drive you to Iowa because it's probably like a 4-hour drive for me. A lot easier on your travel schedule.
Probably works a little bit better.
Yeah, probably a lot better. Finally, the MLB, they're to stream the 2026 World Baseball Classic in Japan. Netflix will broadcast the World Baseball Classic next spring. This is going to be to a Japanese streaming audience. They reported Netflix is also reported to be the leader for taking over the Home Run Derby from ESPN, which opted out of its MLB deal. That's fantastic news for all of our baseball fans because we were all done with ESPN. And the Home Run Derby this year had two different channels to watch it on. One with the actual Google Cloud platform giving the analytics, which was way cooler because us baseball people watching it, we want to see the stats. How hard was it hit? What was the exit velocity? What launch angle was it hit at? We want to see these things. I think Netflix is going to do it way better. I just do. I'm a big Netflix guy, so I trust in Netflix to give us a quality product. Do you have any take about Netflix taking over?
As long as it's not like the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight where there's a lot of buffering, as long as they get that sorted out, I'm not going to be upset about it at all. But I agree with you there. I think that will be a better production standpoint of things, and on the sense of we want to see these metrics on how far was it, what launch angle was it hit at. I think I agree with you too, because that's what we all want to see there. Because you can't really admire some of these home runs. And I think that comes down more to the way the Derby is set right now, where it's just 3 or 4 minutes, whatever it is, to hit as many home runs and whatever pitches you have. When I think you should kind of let the guys chill out a little bit. It won't tire the guys out as much. Won't ruin their swings as much. That's a narrative that's going out there. And also, too, just kind of let the fans enjoy it, too. I think the viewership will go up if you let fans really appreciate these home runs because we saw it this year with O'Neal Cruz especially. Balls that he was hitting 120 miles an hour or 480 feet that you're not really even getting to appreciate because before they even land, you're switching to the next ball that they just hit. So, but I do think Netflix will do a good job with this as long as there is no buffering.
Fair enough. I didn't watch the Paul fight, so I can't comment, but I trust your opinion on that. So one last take. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big believer in Paul Skeens for the MVP of the National League. I don't think he should win it over Ohtani, but I think he's a must-be number 2 in voting, and that's the best he's probably going to get. The guy is 8-9 this year. That being said, after his 7 shutout innings on this past Sunday, he lowered his career ERA to a 2.02 through 50 starts. Since 1920, we're talking 105 years. 105 years of baseball. Hagen, 105. It's a lot of baseball. Only Vita Blue or Vita Blue. Do you know how to say it? I always mix this up. Vita. Okay, Vita Blue. Sorry, apologies. I heard the name before, just messed that up. Only Vita Blue, the 2.01 ERA, has been better in a 50-game time span for their first 50 career starts. Let that sink in, people. This is how good Paul Skeens is. 105 years of baseball. And there's only one pitcher who's been better than him through his first 50 in terms of ERA. Something to take in. Kind of absurd. That being said,
it's generational. Generational gets said a lot nowadays, including me. I'll say that a little too much, but Paul Skeens, this is generational here. We're watching a generational talent here for pitching. You could argue he has the best 50 start period to start a career in Major League Baseball history. It's must-watch TV every 5th day when he takes the ball out there. He's reliable. He doesn't really have that many blow-up starts either. Obviously, if you're going to have an ERA this low, you have to not really have that many blow-up starts. But what Paul Skeens is doing, it's genuinely incredible. And it's not even just the numbers, too. It's the way he's doing it with 102 miles an hour, with 5 or 6 different pitches that he has, the movement he gets on him. It's just – when you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't show the whole picture of how dominant he's really been because obviously he's up there with Vita Blue, but I don't think Vita Blue's stuff was going to be comparing to Paul Skeens and what he's doing here now. It's genuinely insane about what Paul Skeens is doing right now, and he's the next pitching phenom, if you could put it that way.
Put it in terms of the late legendary hockey coach Herb Brooks, when he was describing if you score against the USSR's goaltender Vladislav Tretiak, if you score against Tretiak, keep the puck. It doesn't happen often. If you're a baseball player and you get a hit off Paul Skeens, hunt down the ball and keep it because it doesn't happen often. That being said, anything left to plug? I'm all good on my end.
Obviously, we'll probably talk about him next episode after he gets his first start, but congratulations to Jonathan getting the call-up for the Mets. Arguably the best pitcher in all of minor league baseball this year, so big day for Mets fans.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing I did mention. I forgot to add the notes. Nathan Eovaldi, also injured, out for the year after having a fantastic season so far with a rotator cuff strain. This really sucks for Texas. Should have probably mentioned earlier with the Marcus Semien injury, but Texas, these are a couple big blows in the last couple of days for Texas. So I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome these woes, but that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Go follow us on social media at The Skipper's View on X. Hagen and I have our own separate accounts as well. Feel free to go grab merch on the website. We got some articles coming out each and every day at this point, so go check them out. And right now, that's pretty much it. I know, Hagen, you'll be back Thursday, but probably not Sunday, so we'll try and get Dean on. If not, it'll be me flying solo. But thank you for listening.